Hello everyone, today we're learning about Mציעא, Daf Hayomi. We're going to start about 12 lines down. Omar Rabba, Bar Avuna, Omar Rav. Asoiches a chamor, someone rented a donkey, to ride on it. Umeiselo b'chetz haderech, halfway through the ride, it died. He pays the company, we're going to call them Avis, the people who own the donkey, we're going to call them Avis, and the person's Reuven. So Reuven pays Avis half the wages that they agreed on. And Reuven could only be upset with Avis, but he doesn't have any momonistic ataina. If halfway where the donkey died, he could rent another donkey for half the way. What is he upset about? If it's not easy to find a new donkey to get to his location, does he have to pay for half the way that he's been already? He didn't get to his destination. It's talking about where you can't find another donkey to rent. But Reuven will tell Avis, if you'd want to get, Avis tells Reuven, if you would want to get halfway, wouldn't you have to pay money to get here? So I got you halfway, now keep going, find a way. What's the case? Avis told Reuven, I'll rent you a donkey, didn't say a specific donkey. We said in the Mishnah that Avis is mechuyev to give him a new donkey, so why does he pay him half the way? He should get a new donkey to finish his journey. If Avis said, I'm renting you this specific donkey, so it's a mechuyavos on this donkey, but not a general thing, so what's the problem? You have your nevela, a dead donkey, sell the nevela and buy a new donkey with it, and take that to finish your journey. So the Gemara it's talking about the dead nevela doesn't have enough value to buy a new donkey. So the Gemara okay, so sell the nevela and rent a donkey. That's much cheaper to rent than to buy to complete your journey, because this donkey, this chamor is meshubet for this journey. So the Gemara, Rav letamei, Domar Rav, loy mechalina and karna. Rav holds that in a case where Avis's capital will be finished, because if you sell the nevela and you rent a donkey, once the rental's finished, it goes back to the other owner, it goes back to Hertz. So Avis is not going to get anything, so the capital is going to finish. In such a case, you're not allowed to use a capital that in a case where nothing's going to be left from the capital. The itma that we learned that someone rented a donkey, and it died halfway through the journey. If you could take the nevela and sell it and buy a new donkey, you should buy one. Liskor, if it's only enough money to rent a donkey, aliskor, because mechale karna, like we just said, that the donkey is meshubad, and even if I could only rent another donkey, I should rent another donkey. It's not meshubad so much that you could finish a whole capital to finish a shirbud of the journey. Shmuel held, no, you could finish the whole capital because it's meshubad for the journey, and if all I could do is rent a donkey, you rent a donkey and Avis gets nothing back. This case we're going to ask a kash from is talking about someone with a malva and a loiva, and the loiva gave the malva a tree, and from that they had the agreement, after so and so years that you get the fruit from the tree, I get back the tree to me, it'll become mine, and I don't have to pay the choiv. And now what happened was the tree dried out, no more fruit, or fell over in the wind, got cut off, and there's no more fruit. Shnei masurim boy. So both the malva and the loiva are not allowed to use this tree for firewood, because if the malva uses it, the loiva isn't going to get nothing, and if the loiva uses it, the malva is not going to get nothing. What should be done? You buy a piece of land, and the malva will eat the pears like we agreed, and then after the time it goes back to the loiva. Says the Gemara, in this case, when Yovel comes, this piece of land that they bought is going to go back to the owner because that's a din by Yovel. The land goes back to the original owner, and there's nothing left for the loiva to receive. It's finishing all the capital, and we could see that we're not choishish for that, so it's a kasha on Rav. Says the Gemara, and there's obviously the shitim shonim. When they bought this piece of land to give to the malva to eat the fruit from, they didn't buy it forever. They bought it for 60 years. And when you buy something for 60 years, even though Yovel's in between, Yovel doesn't take back the land. As we're going to see, Domar of Chiz, Domar of Katina. Minayin, how do I know to someone who sells his field for 60 years, when Yovel comes, doesn't go back to the owner only after 60 years. Because it says in the Pasuk, it says about Yovel that the land shouldn't be sold forever. So a type of land that if not Yovel, it would be sold forever. That means he did a sale, I'm selling you this land. That means it's forever. So Yeshem Yovel, when there is Yovel, the Torah is Mechadish, Einon Nitzmeses. The Torah says that such a type of land that was sold forever, Yovel comes and cancels the sale once Yovel comes, and it goes back to the original owner. Yotz Tazu, but this field that he sold for 60 years, Sha'afal Pisha Einon Yovel, even if there's no Yovel, if someone sold a land for 60 years in New York, Einon Nitzmeses, it's not forever, it's not Smisus, it's not forever, and therefore, it's only for 60 years, and therefore, in a case where Yovel does exist in Eretz Yisrael, also Yovel doesn't take it out because Yovel only deals with karkois that were sold forever. Says the Gemara, okay, so we have an understanding that Yovel's not going to take it away because he sold it for 60 years. Ask the Gemara, soif, at the end of the day, when 60 years come, the land goes back to its original owner, the Kokalia Karna, and therefore the loiva doesn't get back this land and he loses everything. So at the end of the day, it's a kasha on Rav. Rav says you don't do something that's Kalia Karna. Says the Gemara, it's talking about where the Yovel is not noyeg, and therefore when you buy this land, when they sold the dead tree and bought the land, it's forever because it's in times when Yovel is not noyeg. Just an interesting point. Nowadays, that you could sell a dead tree for wood and buy a piece of land is quite far-fetched. Says the Gemara, must be talking about that the Yovel is not noyeg. I'll bring you a Aryeh. If it's talking about the Yovel is noyeg, and yet we don't care about to finish a capital, then nothing's going to be left for the loiva. Why don't we just let's just cut it up for firewood and give it to the malva? Why do we even bother with this piece of land if we don't care about Kalakarna? Elamai, it's talking about when the Yovel is not noyeg, and therefore there's a big difference between a land forever that goes back to the loiva and cutting up for firewood. Something more, if this is a riot that's talking about Bismancha in a Yovel noyeg, like kasha, it's not kasha, really could be talking about Bismancha Yovel noyeg. And it's better to buy a piece of land than to sell it for firewood. Why? Sometimes the shalmu shnei mashkanta mikame Yovel. Sometimes this mashkan that he gave it, let's say it's for 25 years. Yovel's in 40 years, so he still has 15 years that's going to go back to the loiva. And that's why we prefer buying a land that the loiva at least will have 15 years, better than cutting up for firewood and giving it to the malva, and the loiva will have nothing left. Inami, another way of understanding the motulu, maybe the loiva is going to have money to pay back to the malve uporiklo, and he's going to be pointed this field. He'll pay off the loan that he owns, and he's going to get back the field a few years before Yovel, so at least he'll have something. It's better than cutting up to firewood and then the loiva will have nothing. At least we want that the loiva should have something. So we do have a raya that the Bryce is talking about Bisman Shena Yovel Noeg. It could be talking about Bisman Shena Yovel Noeg. But we do have a kash on Rav, because Rav is going to tell you that someone is man she'ena Yovel noeg. Tanu Rabbanon learned that someone rented a ship and it sank halfway. So it depends. If he paid already for the way they agreed on £1,000 to rent a ship from point A to B, you shouldn't take anything back. And if he didn't pay, you shouldn't give anything. Said the Gemara, what the case are we talking about? We're going to call again the owner of the ship, Avis, and the guy Reuven. So if the agreement was that Avis said, I'll give you this ship, and the Reuven said, I want to take wine. He didn't say what wine he wants to take from point A to B. And now it's sunk halfway. If Reuven paid already, why shouldn't you take what he paid for already? Namely, he should tell Avis, so we agreed on this ship, bring me this ship. I said I have to bring wine. I didn't say what wine, I'll bring a different wine to complete the journey. So since you can't complete your part of the deal and give me the ship because the ship is underneath the sea or in the river, underneath, so therefore you have to pay me back the money that I paid. Why not? It must be talking about that the Avis agreed on a ship, but they didn't say what specific ship it is, and the wine was a specific wine Reuven said he wants to take. I want to take this wine from point A to B. And if he never paid, why shouldn't he pay Avis? Avis should tell Reuven, bring the wine that we agreed on, we'll deliver it from point A to B. And I'll give you a ship because I can give you another ship. But your wine that you said you're going to transfer, you can't bring it. It's underneath the sea and deep in the river. So why does he not have to pay if he never paid? The dinner of Noson's talking about it's talking about when they agreed on a specific ship and a specific wine, and therefore if he paid already, so Avis tells him, when you bring your wine that we agreed on, I'll bring you the ship we agreed on, and therefore Avis doesn't have to give back the money because Reuven can't be mekayim that night. And if he never paid, so Reuven's muchzik in the money, he tells Avis, listen, you said you're going to give me this ship, if you give me this ship, I'll bring this wine. You can't keep your tonight, I'm not paying you. And therefore, that's the din, the one who's muchzik keeps the money. If they agreed on a ship, but not a specific one, and wine, not a specific wine, and it's sunk half ways, so if he paid, he gets half back. If he never paid, he has to pay for half the way. We learned that someone rented a ship or boat to take a load from point A to B, and halfway, now the Gemara understands what he means. Means in middle of the way between point A and B, he unloaded all his merchandise and said, I don't want to continue. So the Reuven has to pay Avis half the way's journey. The Ein Loi Olav Elo Teremis, and Avis could only be upset with Reuven, but not more than that. What's the case? The Avis could find a new customer now to take the ship and rent it off them. What are they upset about? If you can't find over here anyone to rent the ship, Reuven should pay the whole journey. He agreed on the whole journey. He's causing Avis a loss. He should pay them the whole journey. So the Gemara, for sure, Avis could find someone to rent it out to now. Why is Avis upset with Reuven? Mishum raspisa desfinosa. Because now, if you'd go from point A to B, you'd be one time taking in loads and one time taking off loads. But now they stopped in the middle of the way. You have to take off Reuven's load and find Shimon who wants to rent it and load his new load. So that every time you take off and on a load onto a ship, it causes damage. So therefore, Avis is upset with Reuven. So the Gemara, if so, it's a good time Avis has him against Reuven. You could have a tvias mominus, you're causing me damage for the ship. It costs so and so damage for every time you take off and on a load. I want to get paid. So the Gemara, my porco, what is porco? Not like we explained the halfway he took off his load and he said, I don't want to continue. It means the porco latuna bigabe. Halfway, he agreed that I want to take from point A to B as many kilos as I want. Every kilo, I'm going to pay £1. Every mile, I'm going to pay £1. So 10 kilos, 10 miles. So 10 kilos for 1 mile is £10. For 10 miles, £100. So that was the agreement. And halfway through, he told them, I have here some more items. I want to load the ship. So Avis can't say, oh, you can't load the ship because we agreed on a certain amount. No, they agreed on however much he brings, he has to take it for him. Why is Avis upset with Reuven? He should be even happy, he's getting more paid. Because he changed his mind. He never told him at the beginning that he's doing a stop on the way. And the driver of this Avis ship wanted to get home quickly before he'll go and come back and he'll be home for Shabbos. But now they has to stop and start loading more stuff on the ship. It takes an extra day. He'll have to be Shabbos out of home, so he's upset. When the river is very deep normally in the middle, and on the side it's less deep. So if you have a little load, you're not so heavy, you could go on the side of the river, you don't need long ropes. But if you go in the middle of the river, because you have a heavier load, you need longer ropes. So Avis tells Reuven, if you tell me at the beginning of the journey that we're loading more, I'd bring my long ropes with me. I didn't bother bringing them because I saw we have a small load. Now you're loading it more, it's heavier. Very good, you have to pay me, but now I have to buy ropes over here that I don't really need. I have a home and he never told me about it. So therefore, he's upset with Reuven. Someone rented a donkey to ride on it. Soicha, the one who rented it, his garments, his wine pouch, and the food of this journey. Even if the journey is for 3 days, he can bring food for 3 days. If he wants to take extra load, Chamor could say you have to pay extra. I'm taking you the journey. I'm not taking you. I'm not moving your house. This is the basic. You bring food, you drink, and clothes, but no more than that. Chamor, the donkey rider, the one who leads the donkey, he could put in it barley, beteven, and hay, and food for himself, of that day only, not for the whole journey if it takes a few days. More than this, says it's too much load, it goes slower, it's not comfortable for me, I don't want you to put more than a day's load on it. What are we talking about? If every day you could buy on the way food, the donkey rider, leader, the one who owns the donkey who's leading the guy who's riding on it, should tell the guy who's riding, buy food every day. Why are you putting here 3 days of food on my donkey? There's shops on the way. If you can't buy on the way, how could the rider tell the owner you can't put on more than 1 day? He needs food. How is he going to eat? It's talking about the from hotel to hotel that they stop at night. You could buy, but it's not easy to buy. You have to go around the city, the village where you're staying, and find out who's selling. Not just at the shop over there. You have to go ask around who has food for sale. Chamar, the owner of the donkey who's leading the donkey, that's his job. He knows how to do it, and it's regular for him to do it. And therefore, he could only take for 1 day, and every day he should bother at night and buy food. Soicha, the one who's riding, he's paying for this ride. He doesn't know how to deal with these things. He's just a rider. He's not used to this. So therefore, we let him take food for the whole way. Son agreed, came to Avis and said, I want a donkey for a man. He can't put a woman on it because a woman in those days was heavier. And therefore, the owner didn't agree on that. Isha, if he agreed on a woman, a man's allowed to ride the donkey. The Isha, but if he agreed on a woman and he didn't say what size she is, being doila, doesn't matter if she's big, being tan or small, afilu meuberes, even if she's pregnant, vafilu miniko, even if she's nursing. Said the Gemara, Ashta miniko amrus meuberes mboye, if we already know that miniko, that's her and the baby, and it's too goofy, it weighs much more than a pregnant woman. Why do you need to tell me a pregnant? For sure, a woman who's pregnant, it's mutter. Amar Papa, it means to say, Muberes ve'iminika, Kamar. It means to say, even if she's pregnant and she has a baby that she's nursing, and he only agreed that I'm renting it to take a woman on it, and he didn't say, well, woman, he's allowed to take a woman even though that she's pregnant and has a baby that she's nursing. Amar Abaye, Shma Minos, we're going to do this Lefishet as Toisves. Shma mino, binosa akarasa takla. That since in the Braisa it says that afilu meuberes, even a pregnant woman. Now we said already ben ketana ben gdola. That means it could be an adult, a child, and it doesn't say fat or skinny, or it could be gdola also means a fat woman. So we said any type of woman. So we know I can take a very heavy woman on this donkey. So why do I need to tell you even a moberes? Moberes is just a fat woman. Well, what's a bigger chiddush of moberes? What's a chiddush? So from here we could see that binosa, a fish, when it's full, when it has babies in its stomach, it's heavier, that means, than just a fat fish. Meaning, from the Brisa telling that even Moberes, once you know a fat woman, you're allowed to put on the donkey. And it tells you even a Moberes, it must be that Moberes, because it's the baby inside, it's heavier, she's heavier than just a fat woman. You have two women that they're the same size, one is just because she's fat and one because she's pregnant, the one who's pregnant is heavier, and that's a chiddush in the Brisa, afilu Moberes. And from here we could see that a fish that's full of babies inside, it's going to weigh a lot. The Meinafkim, what is a buyer coming to tell you? That if you go to the market and you see a fat fish and you want to buy it by weight, you should tell the shopkeeper, first take out the insides and then I'll weigh it, because otherwise I'm paying a lot of weight for something that I'm not going to eat. Today is 23 days for the Oima. That's 23 days, that's 3 weeks and 2 days to the Oima. And very bad news, 5 soldiers died in Gaza yesterday. So the limud today should be Leilu Nishmosam, Tzadikim Gdolim, Hu Moise Nafsham, like Asor Aruge Malchus. And Hashem should send us Siyata Dishmaya, that we should have Yeshuas and Atzlocha against all our enemies, and we should be zoicha to mikayim all dinis chirus when we rent workers and we deal with workers, or when we rent a car, etc. That we should all keep to the halacha and not be over on gezer chas v'shalom, and even taroimis people shouldn't have on us. Shkoyach.